Good morning. Today is Tuesday, the third day of Nisan, and we continue in the Tanya in chapter 38, and that we began yesterday. And in this chapter, the Alter Rebbe focuses more on the importance of the kavanah. The kavanah means the concentration, the intent, that with the prayer, although the mitzvahs and the Torah, as we learned, needs to be done verbally, and we explained why it is necessary to be verbal, because that involves action, speaking, and the purpose of the neshama coming down to this world is to elevate and purify the physical part of this world. And when you elevate and you purify the physical part of the world by doing physical mitzvahs, because the mitzvah is the commandments, God's commandments. When you do the mitzvah, you are bringing you're revealing the godliness in the physical part of this world, in your animalistic soul. And all of this is being elevated to Hashem. It is connected also with what we're learning this week's parsha, talking about Adam ki yakriv mikem korban laHashem, when a person comes and bringing an offering to God. The idea of bringing an offering, an animal, on the altar is because this represents the animalistic self that we need to bring up to Hashem. And in our days, the animalistic self, meaning that all the animalistic desires we give up and we do only what Hashem says. And then thereby we bring in godliness into this physical material world. However, having said all that, the Alter Rebbe continues that yet we find that a statement of our sages that tefillah belo kavana keguf belo neshama. If you have prayer without the intent, on the one hand, we need to have the prayer verbally, and if you pray without saying as if you didn't pray. On the other hand, if you have all the kavanas, all the intents and all the concentration in the world, and you meditate on all the greatest levels, and you didn't actually say it, that's like you didn't do it at all. But yet, it does say that the prayer without kavana is like a body without a soul. So what does that mean? For this, the Alter Rebbe yesterday started explaining, we need to understand the analogy, the body and the soul. Now, the body and soul, both of them are godliness concealed. In other words, the concealment of God, of godliness, is equal both in body and in soul, because they're both connected with this physical world, even the soul. And he explains that everything in this world has a body and soul. You have a body and soul in humans, a body and soul in animals. You have a body and soul in a tree. The body of the tree, or a fruit. Then you have the taste, and what kind of smell it has, the taste, and all the soul of the fruit. And the same thing is also with inanimate objects. A rock also has a body and a soul. You have the body of the rock, and you have the soul of the rock. What is the soul of the rock? It is Hashem making it exist. In addition, there is also the different types of rock, the different characteristics of rocks. And there you have flintstones, and you have diamonds, and you have all kinds of rocks. So We have a body and a soul in everything. Now, the godliness is concealed in all equal. Just like in a rock, you don't see God in there. The same thing is also in the soul of a person. You also don't see God. A person, if he doesn't know, if he's born without education, he wouldn't necessarily realize that he's thinking is God. The ability of thinking, the ability of doing whatever humans do, speaking. So godliness is concealed. But in the same time, there's a difference between how much godliness is invested. That concealed godliness, how much is invested in the lower creature and how much is invested in the higher creature. Obviously, in a human, there is more godliness invested than in a rock. That is called the tzimtzum and hitpashtut, the contraction, and the hitpashtut means the spreading and investing the godliness, how much it is. And all of this, the Alter Rebbe explains because he wants to lead to the understanding of what it means, the tefillah, the prayer, and the kavanah. You have the body of the prayer, and you have the soul of the prayer. So let's see inside. Continues the Alter Rebbe. ואף שבשניהם אור אחד שווה בבחינת הסתר פנים. So through the terms of the concealment of countenance. In the terms of concealment of countenance, meaning what is the countenance of Hashem? The degree which the countenance, the inner aspect of the divine life force is concealed. So the light is concealed in the same in both body and soul. It is concealed in an equal way, both of them. You don't see this godliness. You don't see godliness in the rock, and you don't see godliness in a human. You don't see godliness in the body, and you don't see godliness in the soul. Ulevushim shavim, sho'er mistater misalem umislabesh boy. And the garments in which the light hides, conceals, and clothes itself, they are identical in body and soul. Why? Because both the body and the soul are of this world. And in this world, throughout the world, the light and the life force issuing from the breath of Hashem's mouth are equally concealed. By concealment of the countenance, now, in order to bring this body and soul into existence in this world, it needed to go through the process of the descent from the higher world to the lower world, meaning the more spiritual worlds, and each level after level, with many numerous powerful tzimtzumim, contractions, and through different various levels. And this is the chain-like succession of the worlds. Just like a chain, one ring leads to another and goes down and down and down, and is being concealed more and more as it goes through the process. And finally, when it goes down, it clothes itself in klipas noiga, which is the shell. Klipas noiga, that means the shell of noiga. Noiga is the potential shell that can become pure, holy, and can go the other way. So this is in order to give life to the totality of this material world. because the whole entire world, even the evil, receive their light from the klipas noiga, from this shell, because this shell is like the intermediary between the godliness, the holiness, and the lower part of this world. The Hainu, which means kol dvorim amutorim v'atahirim shboilem hazeh, that all the things of this world that are permitted and pure, umimeno ve'al yodo mushpoim devorim atmeim, and from and through the klipas naiga evolves all the impure things. Why? Because this, the klipas naiga, is the intermediary level, as mentioned above. That when you do the godliness, you do the good things, you're allowing the kedusha to succeed, the holy side, and it reduces the energy and life for the evil. The more a person is involved in the impure things, it gives more energy to the evil side, and then he nourishes himself from the evil side. And that is why the klipas noiga is the intermediary, and this is the link, it's a bridge between the holy side and the other side. Afal pikein. So when it comes to the concealment, it is all equally concealed. The godliness is equally concealed in body and in soul. But nevertheless, afal pikein, nevertheless, ha'ora, shiam shochas ha'chayus, asher Hashem meiro mechaya derech levush zeh. This is a godly illumination, meaning the flow of vitality by which God illumines and gives life to all the creatures of this world by way of this garment, meaning of the klipas noiga. Eino shava bekulam mebchinas tzimtzum veispashtus. This is not the same for them all. And the difference between the life force of the various creatures is in the term of contraction and expansion. In some creatures, the life force is considered constricted and limited, while in others it finds broader expression. This is the difference between the way it is in the body and the way it is in the soul. In the body, you have more contractions. In the soul, it is more expansion of the godly light. So, tomorrow, Alter Rebbe continues. He's going to expand on this concept and also how this applies in the all four different categories. That in each category you have the inanimate objects, you have the vegetations, you have the animal kingdom, and you have the humans. And in each one of them, you have also these two levels, the levels of concealment, which basically is equal by all, and you have the tzimtzum and ispashtus, the contraction and expansion. So what do we take from here, from today's lesson, is that we need to have both. We need to have the body and we need to have the soul. Now we're talking about the tefillah, prayer without kavanah, without intention, is like a body without a soul. It doesn't mean that it's like a dead body. You can have a body without a soul, but still being, the body also has its own soul itself. The soul that we invest, that we infuse in the body, represents something much, much deeper, much, much greater, because a Jew is able to connect to the deeper level through the neshama, be able to connect to something much, much greater. Just like we are going to explain today in the Shir and the Torah studies, It talks about the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and Adam. And Adam represents the greatness. Adam is represented with the big Aleph, the large Aleph, as it is written in the book of Divrei Hayamim, Chronicles. And by Moshe Rabbeinu, we learn in this week's Torah portion, it has the small Aleph, the little Aleph. We have a whole explanation how we need to balance them both. This will, if you want to join us, we'll have it today at 8 p.m. Ezat Hashem. So thank you very much for joining in today's short Tanya lesson. And we'll continue Ezat Hashem the Tanya tomorrow, 9 a.m. Make sure to share this and we can discuss now if anyone has any questions.